Good afternoon. Thank you for creating time for us. It's always a privilege to have you with us. My name is Irene Muchuma Odem. On sign language interpretation, we have Susan Thuku. You are on time for the Lunchtime news. We have demonstrations in the county of Kisumu. My colleague, Chola Simon, will be telling us what is happening. But before that, we have a lot in store for you. Let's interact on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. 3 classrooms and 2 vehicles at Olngarwa Primary School in Isiolo County have been touched by armed bandits. The heavily armed bandits are said to have fired several shots to scare away those who were around before setting the classrooms on fire and touching the vehicles belonging to the institution.
The bandits first scared away those who were in the institution by firing on the air before carrying out the distractions.
Kuna majangili walikuja, walikuwa wengi, walileta ng'ombe, wakaanza kushambulia shule, kupiga. Kwanza walianza kupiga risasi katika darasa, na mimi nilikuwa hapa. Waliweza kuingia na kuchukua vitu, kuiba vitu. Baada ya kuiba zingine wakaanza kushoma. Wakashoma hili darasa, wakashoma darasa lingine pale chini, na wakashoma manyumba ya staff na wafanyikazi wale walimu na wale staff wengine pale chini.
The classrooms that host grade 1, grade 3 and class 8 candidates who are set to sit for their KCPE examinations this year all reduced to ashes.
Karatasi yao nashomeka kuhapa yote kuhapa, hakuna kitu sasa hao nashomesa. Sasa najua mahali tuende tununue hiyo karatasi. Turudie tena nasari. Sijui.
The facility is not only a school, but also a center for adult literacy, as well as rescue center for girls who run away from retrogressive practices. Locals are now appealing to the government to investigate the attack and bring the perpetrators to book.
Serikali akona ile msaada ataweza kutupea, mtusaidie hii shule ifunguliwe. Shule tafadhali tutafanya aje watoto. Hata tukipeleka shule nyingine, ile mtoto mdogo afiki kwa ile shule ya gari siriko na atafika saa ngapi?
These were CBC materials.
Tilio Marco for Lunchtime News.
All right. Controversial televangelist Ezekiel Odero is once again appearing in court in the county of Mombasa. My colleague Ann Mburu is on that bit. Ann, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, to Irene Muchuma, back at Broadcasting House, and we're coming live to you from the Mombasa Law Courts, where I will be joined by one of the lead lawyers of Pastor Ezekiel Odero, who there is a case that is ongoing of the freezing of his accounts. And Dunstan Omari is going to give us a brief of what has transpired today at the Law Courts of Mombasa. Karibu sana on set, Dunstan, I would like to ask you exactly, just give us a brief of what transpired today in the courts.
Well, today the matter that was coming up was our application that filed, 1, to get the church opened, 2, to get the TV station back and running, and 3, not the bank accounts of the church and Ezekiel and his family not to be closed. Yesterday, the state we discovered that they have gotten some orders from Nairobi Magistrates Court freezing the accounts. So we filed an application quite late at night seeking that those orders be vacated or be stayed or not implemented. So in the morning they said they are not ready to proceed, so they were given time to put in their response, and the matter will proceed at exactly 2 p.m. in Mombasa High Court.
We heard that you wanted the case that is at Milimani Courts about the freezing of the accounts be squashed. Why would you ask for that?
By law, once a matter is seized by the High Court, a magistrate's court cannot purport to entertain that matter. If you looked at the papers that were filed in Milimani Court, there was material non-disclosure. They never disclosed to the magistrate that matter was already in Mombasa High Court. Based on that, definitely those orders will be vacated by the High Court here or even in Nairobi. But we are intending to bring it to this court, and the court vacates those orders.
We've also heard that the church today was supposed to be closed, but it remains open to date. Maybe you could explain a little about the case that is also about the closing of the church.
That has already been concluded. The state came yesterday with an affidavit and affidavit today saying they have not closed the church and they don't intend to close the church because we raised the question of Article 32. There is nowhere the police have power. The provincial administrator has power to close a church. The procedure of closing a church is through the court process. So yesterday, the State Council confirmed and it is now official. Ezekiel's church is not closed and will not be closed, and that is why Meza Yabwana is proceeding today uninterrupted. But they are police officers guarding, providing security, because today the Meza Yabwana we are expecting that over 100,000 people will be attending. So, and the question that we are raising in court is that you are saying the church to proceed, but you are closing their accounts. It's a big contradiction. If you are saying the church is not an illegality, why are you again saying that you close the court?
Thank you so much. As you've heard it from the horse's mouth, let's wait for 2 p.m. and get the answers from the magistrates. Back to you at Broadcasting House, Irene.
Thank you, Ann Mburu giving us an update from the county of Mombasa. This as controversial televangelist Ezekiel Odero is once again appearing in court. Of course, we'll be following the latest developments from that end and inform you as and when we get them. Now, we are going to a press conference where a dentists union is addressing members of the press, and let's get to know what they have to say.
Then we will not have any further engagement but to go for a nationwide industrial action. That's the first declaration. The second declaration, I will give notice to all the public and private hospitals that there are published rates of employing doctors. The published rates of paying locums. We know those facilities that are underemploying and are paying doctors poor rates. The locum rates have been publicized, and we are going against any public facility or any private facilities that is disregarding those regulations. Number 3, we are saying that UHC is a political statement. It's a dream that has been seen and been talked by different leaders. But you are asking the president that if you really want to implement the pillar of UHC, the time is now to ensure that all these doctors are employed and are offering services to the public and to the hospitals in this country. We are also declaring that the government holds doctors' money in the collective bargaining agreements of 2017-2021. We've had negotiations over these. We've had discussions over these. But in the same way the government is paying the IMF and other loans that they have, it's good time to pay the doctors their debts in the same manner, because CBA is a contract and we are going against the government to cite all of them for contempt for not honoring these particular agreements. Declaration, and we are saying this, that in the next 3 weeks to 1 month, based on these demands that we've given, if there are no actions that are put into them, we are going to give a clear-cut way that these declarations of a nationwide strike will actually take place. This time around, we will not be threatening. We will give the ministry and the county governments the notice that they much so much need. And we are moving across the country. We've been going to Western, we've gone to Coast, we've gone to all these places. We want to ensure that there's no doctor who is frustrated at his place of work because CBA has not been implemented. There's no doctor who is frustrated at work because they have not been paid. Like there now we have the interns. And our permanent notice for 5th for counties in payment of salaries must continue. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. So I'll say something and you say walk there.
That is a press conference by the Kenya Medical Pharmacists and Dentists Union. They're raising their concerns. They want more doctors to be employed, and also they want the government to implement the collective bargaining agreement 2021, lest they down tools in the next 3 weeks. We have able team on the ground and we'll be getting information once they unfold. Now, in other news, Kenya will work closely with Israel to efficiently produce more food to feed its people and export the surplus. President William Ruto, who is on a tour of Israel, said Israel's modern farming technology, if replicated in Kenya, will sustainably drive the country's hugely transformational agenda. Ruto spoke Tuesday when he met the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, at his residence in Jerusalem. The two leaders agreed to expand the Kenya-Israel cooperation in trade, agriculture, security, and technology.
My visit to Israel is part of the consolidation of our relationship. I am very keen on matters to do with health. We're looking forward to working with you on blue economy. Huge potential in the blue economy space that is untapped and that needs investment and cooperation, and I am very confident that Israel can share with us your experience and work with your technology and work with your expertise in that space.
We see this as a very important turning point in the upgrading of the relations between our countries. We could do so much more in terms of business relations in all fields of agriculture, trade, science, and energy, and all other fields of joint cooperation. And we believe that the real story is to enhance the relations between our future generations and people to people on so many fronts.
The national government, in collaboration with other stakeholders, has launched an intergovernmental steering committee on refugee settlement Marshall Plan in Kenya. The Marshall Plan will facilitate the gradual transition from refugee camp management model to integrated settlement. This follows a surge in numbers of refugees recently arriving in the country.
Kenya has been hosting refugee asylums for decades, making the fifth largest refugee host in Africa. Speaking during the official unveiling of the Intergovernmental National Steering Committee, Principal Secretary for Immigration and Citizen Services Julius Bitok said the Marshall Plan aims at easing the pressure on refugee hosting communities in Garissa, Turkana and urban areas by mobilizing additional financial, technical and material support.
The government is aligning its refugee management policy to be in line with the national laws such as the Constitution of Kenya, the Refugee Act number 10 of 2021.
Being aware of our geopolitical and strategic positioning and the need to promote peace and regional stability. We need to be sensitive in ensuring that the design and implementation of this plan does not become a pull factor for asylum seekers and refugees within the region.
The plan involves key stakeholders like county government, United Nations agencies and other internal private sectors to jointly fundraise for programs that support the plan's objectives.
I have personally advocated for more integration as opposed to repatriation of refugees. I've always stood for the value proposition relating to refugees. Even when I was the governor 2013, or rather 2016, I remember there was a lot of talk about repatriation of refugees, and I assisted that very much as far as Garissa County was concerned.
The ministry says this step is critical in the provision of resources, opportunities and services for refugees in order to rebuild their lives and thrive in their communities. For Lunchtime News, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
A World Peace Summit in South Korea has resolved to upscale peace in countries affected by human suffering and conflicts on resources. Political and religious leaders who attended the summit in Seoul expressed the need for determination, cooperation, and shared values globally to enhance democracy, freedom, and peace. The three-day summit in South Korea deliberated on, among others, international peace building in political, academia, media, business, and religious spheres. Leaders in attendance advocated for global cooperation in ending human suffering and inter-country conflicts on limited resources. Senegal President Macky Sall, former US President Donald Trump, and Cambodian Prime Minister Samdech Hun Sen said interreligious peace is a critical aspect to achieve lasting world peace.
Of course, there are also the interference, foreign interference, and also because of the war in Ukraine, many people are courting Africa. So how can we move toward peace? What can we do for lasting peace? The peace without Africa is not possible. We need a new leadership of Africa, which is a cradle of mankind. We cannot enter into details.
Universal Peace Federation co-founder Hakan Moon and the Federation's chairman Thomas Walsh urged countries to join forces in solving problems afflicting humanity. The close of the 3-day conference witnessed the honoring of peace contributors globally. The summit also included a commemoration in honor of UPF founder Dr. Sun Moon. Fear and panic gripped residents at Kamaki's area along the eastern bypass in Kiambu County after a 6-story building housing over 100 people developed cracks. This comes barely 2 days after a 4-story building that was under construction collapsed in Kidfamako area of the Kikuyu constituency, Kiambu County. The incidents have so far called for an audit and examination of building safety following increased cases of collapsing buildings in Kiambu County.
Kiambu County has of late experienced a series of mishaps in the construction sector following recent buildings collapse. On Saturday, a 4-story building that was under construction collapsed in the Kidfamako area of the Kikuyu constituency. Neighbors say the building developed some cracks before the mason began frantic efforts to repair the cracked sections.
Walikuwa mafundi 8 ndio walikuwa wanajaribu kuweka supporters ya kushikilia nyumba ndio isianguke, lakini muda wa saa 10 hivi ndio sasa wametoroka wakaniambia toka nje, nyumba inaanguka.
At Kamaki's area in Kiambu County, a 6-story building housing over 100 people has developed cracks, a situation that has seen some tenants.
The main reason nahama nyumba ni juu iko na cracks na inateremka, milango hazifungiki, drainage imeanza kuinama. Sasa hapo ndio nikaona hapana.
Police and Kiambu County government engineers, however, after inspecting the building, declared it was safe and that there was no need for evacuations at the moment.
What we have discovered is that the cracks are just minor cracks. Yeah? They are mostly on the walls and they don't affect any structural element, like the columns and the beams.
We value life more than property. Kama engineer angesema kwamba nyumba ni mbaya, tungetoa amri saizi watu waame.
The incident has reawakened calls for the proper regulation of the construction industry to save lives. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
2 security guards who operate in Isili, Nurdin Ibrahim and Ali Maina, have been charged with robbery with violence in Makadara Court. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Francis Kiambia, the court had that the two robbed Hassan Abdikadir Mahati 50,000 Kenya shillings and took by force the key of his Toyota Alto. They were released on a bond of 500,000 each with a surety of a similar amount. The case will be heard on the 19th of September this year. To environmental concerns, friends of the environment in Nakuru County are calling on Kenyans to double their efforts in planting trees to mitigate the adverse effects of climate change. The group, who planted 500 trees at the Nakuru crematorium, cautioned the prolonged drought in parts of the country was as a result of deforestation, and the situation could worsen if little is done to increase the country's forest cover.
The initiative by President William Ruto to plant 15 billion trees in the next 10 years continues to gain traction among friends of the environment. A group of women in Nakuru have launched an initiative that saw them plant 500 tree seedlings in Nakuru crematorium to mitigate the ongoing effects of climate change.
Because of the global warming going throughout the world, and I want this, that everywhere people start planting a tree. Let us plant a tree a day, at least it will help. We are seeing what is happening at the Mau Narok Road, so these trees will help us.
The Visha Oshol Community Women's League, in supporting the President's initiative to increase the country's forest cover, challenged Kenyans to plant trees, cautioning the prolonged results in human-wild conflict was as a result of deforestation.
Nakuru Cemetery is just near the Lake Nakuru National Park, and we are bringing this ecosystem here, so even the conservations will be protected. Tourists will be coming in. Kenya will be getting a high revenue, and we would like to work with other communities at large to plant trees and bring out this ecosystem again, and the environment being better. Greenery is more important to the whole world.
In rallying Kenyans to double their efforts towards planting trees, Shah said the target was achievable if every Kenyan planted 300 tree seedlings. She singled out deforestation as one of the biggest challenges facing the environment, warning cutting down of trees was threatening the country's flora and fauna and interfering with the ecosystem.
Kenya Chambers of Commerce and Industry Busia chapter now says that the gazettement of Nasewa land as an export processing zone is a big milestone towards boosting the economy of Busia County. The organization said that the establishment of the zone will create employment opportunities for the residents. Led by Chairperson Sylvanus Abungu, the organization disclosed that the chamber was a value addition through attraction of investors.
Tukijenga industrial park hapa, chamber tayari iko kwa kamati ya value addition ambayo itakuwa na investors na partners wale wanataka kuwekeza katika industrial park na EPZ, na sisi ndio tunachambua kujua ni wakina nani watakuja hapa. Tunajaribu kusukuma kwamba sehemu percentage fulani ya industrial park isimamiwe na watu SMEs kutoka county hii ambao wanafanya manufacturing, na kuna percentage fulani ambayo itasimamiwa na wafanyabiashara wa kimataifa. Tunajaribu kuangalia na sewa na hapa kwamba kazi hiyo projection ni karibu 20,000 jobs ambazo zinataka kuwa created na governor wa Busia. So si kazi kidogo.
So youth ndo tuko na shida sana in employment, and I hope that as I'm coming in as the youth director nitaweza kusaidia kusikiza shida za youth na kuendelea na.
The county government of Vihiga has launched the reconstruction of a 150-kilometer road network that will cost 20 million shillings. Speaking during the official launching ceremony, Vihiga County Governor Dr. Wilbur Otichilo said majority of the roads in the county have been destroyed by the ongoing heavy rains. The governor further revealed. Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. We appreciate your feedback on our social media platforms. Let's continue interacting and see you after the break with more news.
A little cold. I told you so many times. The air must be too cold in your room, so you should wear more or you'll get sick. Tell me, did you keep the AC on all night?
I'm really enjoying my busy life now.
I'm an online influencer and also a student, living the dreams this simple.
You had me so worried.
You look really great in that pink jacket.
Yeah, the jacket is actually a gift from Charlene. How do you know I'm wearing this jacket now?
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county government.
Impact of the Hustlers Fund.
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard, every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel.
Welcome back. You're watching the Lunchtime News. Now to the county of Samburu, Bodaboda riders in Mararal have been urged to join self-help groups and save money to help them in tough financial times. With development activities in the county, Starlight Bodaboda Sacco chairperson Chief Kiereke said it has already registered a group of 25 riders.
Wa bodaboda ambao wameenda mbali kama watu wa Nyahururu, kama watu wa Kitimoto na wengine wengi hata Wananyuki. Niliona wengi ambao waliweza kuungana na mpaka wakawa na investments yao hata wa Nairobi. So kwa hivyo ninawaambia watu wetu, huu ni wakati tunaweza kuja pamoja na kujiunga na kushikana mkono ili tuweze kuendeleza sako yetu.
Mimi kwangu ni kuambia wana bodaboda Mara wasiseme hakuna kazi. Sisi ile kidogo tunapata ndio tunaweza kusave. Na kama watashikana vizuri na wawe na muongozo mzuri, at least wataweza kujinasua kwa hii ushumi venye iko.
Miaka inasonga. Sasa inataka tuanzishe kikundi hata watu wengine waone, kwa sababu hiyo kitu ni ya maana sana. Ni ya maana sana kwetu kwa sababu inatusaidia. Sababu hiyo pesa yako ukiweka 50 ama 100, baadaye ukienda kunini utafanyia kazi mzuri.
Controversy is rife in Mbere, Embu County, over the construction of Kamumu Mega Dam amid claims of political interference in the developmental issue. A section of leaders in the area have locked arms over the construction of the dam, with some opposing its construction. Those against its construction want the construction of other dams prioritized before the dam is built. Mbere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku pushing for the construction of Kamumu Dam alleged politics in the issue. He maintained that the people of Mbere would not allow politics to stop the construction of the dam that would benefit the locals.
Mtu yoyote yule ambaye ataleta siasa katikati ya hii damu ambayo tumeahidiwa na serikali miaka mingi, yule ambaye ataleta siasa yoyote, jameni tutakabiliana na yeye vilivyo, na tunasema hivyo mchana. We cannot at any single moment joke with the livelihood of the people of Mbere. We have suffered for many years living in these very harsh conditions of Samarid area. And in most cases we are grouped with the upper Embu as if we enjoy the same agroecological zone, which we don't enjoy.
Across the borders, at least 400 people have died after floods and landslides hit the Democratic Republic of Congo's South Kivu province last week. The heavy rainfall caused rivers to overflow and resulted in mudslides that swept through the villages of Bushushu and Nyamukubi in South Kivu's Kalehe territory. In several villages close to the shore of Lake Kivu, people have been digging through the mud with their hands in a desperate search for missing relatives.
According to the humanitarian workers, over 400 people have been confirmed dead so far, while 167 people are listed as missing in the Democratic Republic of Congo's South Kivu province after flash floods hit the region. 205 people were seriously injured during the flash floods. The current rainy season is expected to last until end of May. President Felix Tshisekedi on Monday a day of national mourning and flags are flying at half-mast. A team of ministers are set to travel to the region to coordinate humanitarian aid and disaster management as survivors are in dire need for essential needs. One distraught mother in Nyamukubi said her husband had survived and was in hospital, but all her children were gone. The UN has warned that 3,000 families are now homeless because of the tragedy.
11 suspects were arrested in Laikipia County and 20,300 liters of Kangara destroyed by authorities during a multi-agency-led operation Monday. During a raid at Liki slums in Nanyuki town, 300 liters of Kangara and 80 liters of Changa were nabbed.
Confirming the incident, Laikipia County Police Commander John Nyoike said that during the sting operation by the multi-agency team, one of the suspects from Liki informal settlement was arrested and fined 300,000 shillings by Nanyuki court on Monday, and after being released, she was again rearrested after being found in possession with more illicit brews during the operation at her homestead in Liki.
Ni operation ambayo tulianza kitambo na tunaendelea naye upande wa Laikipia County.
The operation was carried out in Liki informal settlement where 3 liters of Kangara and 80 liters of Changa was destroyed.
Vile vile asubuhi tumekuwa na operation kubwa sana upande wa Lorian, upande wa Laikipia West, ambayo tumeweza kuharibu lita 20,000 ya Kangara mchanganyiko na busa.
Nyoike said that the government will not relent until the war against illicit brews is won in the Mount Kenya region.
Tusiwachie polisi peke yake, tushirikiane pamoja na members of the public, kwa sababu hii pombe ikiendelea katika hiyo maeneo inaumiza watu wengi sana, inaharibu watoto yetu, na hata wazee wanashindwa na kufanya kazi ya kutafutia familia zao chakula ya kujikimu.
He appealed to the members of the public to volunteer information to assist in the cracking down of those found brewing the illicit alcohol.
The government has been urged to consider locals during the allocation of trees for logging. Kipkelion East Member of Parliament Joseph Cherorot said in the past locals never benefited from the trees despite conserving it for many years. The logging of trees is set to resume in July after it was banned 6 years ago.
Speaking at Dr. Koech Primary School in Londiani during the launch of water drilling, Kipkelion East Member of Parliament Joseph Cherorot called on government to consider locals in the allocation of trees at Soget Forest.
Wakaaji na wale ambao wanatunza misitu kama mimi hapa upande wa Soget, tuachiwe nafasi tutumie hizo miti, sababu sisi wenyewe ndio tumekaa tukiishi tukiona hizo miti, na tukiona lori ikikuja kuchukua hatusikii vizuri.
The lawmaker added that the youth will be assisted to register groups so they can apply for the allocation to be given a chance in harvesting the trees.
Make sure tumeregister groups ya vijana na hawa wapate wenyewe kupewa nafasi kuallocatiwa miti kuharvest miti msituni. Mambo ya miti kama miwa inafika wakati ambapo inafika age yake, so inapaswa kuharvestiwa ndio ipate kutumika ilete uchumi katika isaidie katika mambo ya uchumi katika taifa letu.
At the same time, the shortage of water in his constituency will be a thing of the past, having commissioned water projects at Kimaut, Mogomoine and Sogowet.
Na maji kutoka Itare ambayo itakuja kwenda Nakuru ambayo iko advanced stage, na hiyo damu ya Itare, hiyo maji kuna tangi itawekwa JFC, kuna tangi itawekwa hapo Tula na itasaidia maji hiyo eneo hilo la Kidoa na hiyo eneo hiyo yote.
The logging of trees is set to resume in July after it was banned 6 years.
The Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Arts and Sports, Babu Namwamba, has said that his ministry will strengthen institutions that are directly in nurturing and curating talent. Namwamba was speaking at the Kenya International Cultural Center as he awarded winners of the Talanta Hella Initiative logo design competition.
Athletics game. The Ministry of Youth Affairs, Arts and Sports in February invited entries for the design of a logo for the Talanta Hella initiative. After a thorough selection process, 3 creatives made the shortlist and were awarded Tuesday. Speaking at the award ceremony held at the Kenya Cultural Center, Cabinet Secretary Babu Namwamba said that there will be increased avenues to craft and deploy talent in Kenya. Theatre, football, rallying, that whole space of sports and the creatives, we can talk about them in the same way we talk about doctors, lawyers, accountants. Namwamba added that winners of music and drama festivals will perform at paid concerts and intellectual property rights assigned to their content at the Talanta Hella initiative. And that is why one of the key deliverables under Talanta Hella is protection of intellectual property. We're going to have a whole department within the Talanta Hella ecosystem at the Talanta Hella Secretariat with attorneys skilled in intellectual property. The winning design of the Talanta Hella logo came from Bueno, who received 300,000 shillings.
It is a hallmark in my career. I'll, I think, forever treasure this. But then also, I think it is a justification that indeed talent pays. So who else better qualifies as the first ambassador?
James Mundia and Sydney Maranga took second and third places, taking home 200,000 and 100,000 shillings respectively in the logo design challenge. For Lunchtime News, I am Daniel Wahome.
Church and Clergy Association of Kenya has opposed the task force that was recently formed to investigate Shakahola murders held against Pastor Paul Mackenzie, led by the CCAK National Chairman Bishop Hudson Ndenda. The association has urged the government to consult other umbrella bodies before making such decisions. At the same time, they have faulted a section of leaders for making blanket condemnation on the church, saying the whole church should not be accused.
Okay. We continue to condemn the atrocity that was perpetrated in the name of Christianity. Secondly, we appreciate the actions taken by the government to bring the masterminds to these heinous crimes to speedy justice. However, we vehemently oppose the knee-jerk reaction by the present administration against our religious liberty, which has created and gazetted a task force on 5th May 2023.
Mtu akikutwa akona kosa, wacha yeye ashtumiwe amefanya, lakini sio kuweka wahubiri wote wale wazuri na wale wabaya pamoja, na mnaanza kushtumu wahubiri ni wabaya, washirika nao wanasema wahubiri ni wabaya.
Tutaki kuassumu ya kwamba hata atasikiliza. Ana sababu yoyote ya kutosikiliza. Kwa maana hiyo kazi, hata sheria zikiwekwa, wenye kutia hiyo sheria ni sisi.
In other news, trouble is brewing at the Zone Authority in Athi River, with a section of workers accusing the management of poor working conditions and unsanitary conditions. The workers say the institution is suffering from water shortage, exposing them to the risk of communicable diseases. Additionally, they say the institution's roof is leaking and the management has done little to fix the problem. They are now demanding for better working conditions and the management to prioritize workers' safety.
These were the scenes at the garment-making organization. A disgruntled workforce. The workers are agitating for better working conditions to ensure their safety at work.
Hiyo maji unapata tumeamuka siku moja tunapata hakuna maji. Tuna complain kwa employer anang'ang'ana na kitambo angize hiyo maji. Inaweza take long 2 hours kitambo gari zifike hapa.
Yetu shida kwa wingi ni ukosefu wa maji ambayo inaletwa kununuliwa kwa EPZ zone ya Athi River. Hiyo maji hatuko sure na penye inatoka, kumaanisha hata tukikunya usalama wetu na afya yetu tunahofia sana.
The employees say toilets at the facility are filthy and lack water, exposing them to diseases.
Tunapokuwa na ukosefu wa maji kunakuwa na infections mingi.
Hasara ya mvua iko, manake haya mabati yananyesha ndani, products zenye tunatengeneza zinaharibika. Hatuna wakati, employer ana wakati mzuri wa kutoa yende nje kwa sababu ishaharibiwa, hayo makatoni yakinyeshewa na mvua.
Efforts to get a comment from the company's chief executive officer were futile.
A little cold. I told you so many times. The air must be too cold. You should wear more. You'll get sick. Tell me, did you keep the AC on all night?
Hey, I'm telling you. I'm an online influencer. And also a student. Living the dream.
You had me so worried.
You look really great in that pink jacket.
Yeah, you know this jacket is actually a gift from Charlene. How do you know I'm wearing this jacket now?
Tafuta elimu hata ikitubidi twende katika nchi ya mbali kwa kutafuta elimu.
Mwenyezi Mungu amekumba wewe, amekupatia riziki, oxygen, neema, afya, maji, anakuletea mvua. Mwenyezi Mungu amekupatia neema, wa in ta'uddu ni'matallahi la tuhsuha wa ma bikum min ni'matin fa min Allah. Chochote katika neema mko nacho ni kutoka kwa Allah. Halafu uende ukaabudie mawe, Mungu atakubali.
Well, to be part of Islam, the heart of a Muslim, united we will always stand.
Welcome back. Time for Channel 1 Business News. Small-scale farmers along River Tana will be compensated instantly in case of crop failure or loss of livestock due to flooding. This is following the launch of a flood insurance solution using data, modeling and satellite imagery to predetermine flood thresholds.
River Tana is prone to flooding, leading to extensive damage to crops and livestock, resulting in significant losses. A new solution by Britam Holdings in partnership with Oxfam in Kenya and global insurer Swiss Re aims to cushion small-scale farmers living along the banks of the River Tana from the adverse effects of catastrophic floods. The solution uses data to determine historical patterns of flooding along the River Tana.
I see this as one of the key ingredients in focus-based action, which means it's something that happens before a crisis. happens, it's already packaged, it's up to date, and in case some triggers are reached, then you are able to now activate them so that the people who are affected by the crisis are able to get some kind of payment which will enable them to cushion them from
to understand, and second, very easy to trigger so that the claims payment can happen to community very swiftly.
Once the pilot is done and a lot of awareness is done on it and the lessons learned are brought, then a vigorous way of launching it and at a higher level using local radios will be able to reach the communities to really understand that they can insure themselves in advance.
Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News.
Thank you, Trevor, for that report. Now, those who contribute to the proposed 3% housing levy will have the chance to withdraw their savings if they so wish, with interest in according to the duration it has been accumulating. This is according to KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli, who is urging workers' union leaders to embrace social dialogue on the matter in the face of heavy criticism, saying the deductions will be the best way to build low-cost homes for workers in Kenya.
The National Treasury proposed a 3% mandatory deduction for every Kenyan worker, with employers matching the amount if the Finance Bill 2023 is enacted in its current form. This was meant to help provide Kenyans with affordable housing and to avail secure shelters for the population. The deduction has, however, met opposition from many worker unions and tax experts, who argue the uniform deductions would work against ordinary taxpayers who are already dealing with a high cost of living.
The bill also proposes to introduce a National Housing Development Fund levy. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But if we take all these changes into account, the net, the income of employees will take a significant hit. And the marginal rate of tax, if we take into account statutory and social contributions, will be well over the 35%.
The levy will also act as a means of investment for contributors, which will accrue interest over time, basing on the initial 5 billion invested by the government on the same. KOTU, the umbrella body for worker unions, has however come to defend the proposed housing deduction as a sure way of ensuring there is a chance for even minimum wage workers to eventually become homeowners. In addition, Atwoli says the deduction, which shall not exceed 5,000 shillings per worker, will accrue more benefits in the long run. Atwoli is now calling on worker unions to embrace dialogue in the matter, which would be for the greater good of the country's economy. Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
To a very interesting piece. Kenyans should increase their coffee intake to shield farmers from fluctuating prices in the international market. Coffee companies have organized a barista championship to showcase coffee products with the aim of attracting youthful consumers.
Building on turning around the coffee value chain. Among other strategies, the players in the coffee value chain are calling for increased local consumption that stands at less than 5% of the total coffee produced. Coffee companies relying on exports exposes Kenyan farmers to limited markets and global price shocks. Local coffee farms have organized a national barista competition to showcase various coffee products.
Where the coffee world is going, it's really innovative and encouraging to the youth because it's more into innovations and technology and experimentation. So most of the farmers who are coming back to coffee are the people who are very knowledgeable in terms of chemistry, and they're trying to know what they can do better in terms of processing, a new innovation in the farm level, which we cannot leave it to the elderly who have showed us the way.
The competition is aimed at attracting the youth to embrace coffee.
The benefits of the championship to the coffee industry is very simple. So we are, like you can see the location where we are hosting these events. It attracts more people who don't know about coffee. Everyone wants to know about coffee, the machines we are using, the barista profession, and even the youth who are around. They want to have barista as a career to look up to when they grow.
In coffee, we usually have a lot of activities going on. So if these activities can be done here in Kenya, like any other country which have coffee, it can be really amazing because we'll put more words out there about coffee. We'll educate more people about coffee, and also we'll have more people drinking coffee and even venturing into coffee industry.
The winner of the competition will represent Kenya at the World Coffee Barista Championship in Greece this year.
We can encourage even more of the local stakeholders to come together and make this event a big thing, because it's all about one thing, one product, which is Kenyan coffee.
Elsewhere, over 50,000 tea and coffee farmers from the county of Embu and Kirinyaga are said to be trained on crop diversification by the Rainforest Alliance.
Help our farmers do diversification, because tea alone is having a big load on farmers. So if we do diversification on avocados and other items like goat farming, I think the farmers will benefit.
Tea factories management from the two counties say climate change, high cost of production and low prices has seen farmers earning dwindle.
Also climate change. So ideally at farm level we target farmers to ensure they are able to adapt to climate change. When they adapt to climate change, they are able to produce better quality tea, which will fetch higher price.
Benson Ruba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Welcome to Channel 1 Sports News. Everton and Nottingham Forest dug themselves out of the relegation zone with big wins over Brighton and Southampton, respectively. Everton thrashed Brighton 5-1 last night at the Amex Stadium. The win takes Everton out of the relegation zone into 17th place after Leicester City. Meanwhile, Nottingham Forest boosted their chances of staying in the top flight when they edged out Southampton by 4-3 in a thrilling encounter between the two teams. The wins propels Nottingham Forest to 16th position, 3 points above third bottom placed Leicester. The UEFA Champions League enters the semi-final stage tonight, with the first game being played at the Santiago Bernabeu between visitors.
Champions League semi-final clash tonight, with Manchester City's record-breaking Erling Haaland going against Real Madrid's red-hot veteran captain Karim Benzema. This will be a replay of last year's semi-final when defending champions Real Madrid mounted a stunning comeback to get the better of City and went on to win a record-extending 14th title. Real Madrid's centre-back Eder Militao will be suspended for the first leg after picking his third booking of the tournament. In the quarter-final second leg victory over Chelsea, as left-back Ferland Mendy is expected to miss out due to a calf problem. City defender Nathan Ake is likely to miss out after picking up an injury during the 2-1 win over Leeds United on Saturday. The return leg will be played at the Etihad Stadium on Wednesday, 17th May next week. The second semi-final first leg will be played tomorrow between Inter Milan and AC Milan.
All right, we've come to the end of Channel 1 Lunchtime News. That is what we have for the newsroom for now. But for more details, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Irene Muchuma. On sign language interpretation is Susan Thuku. On behalf of the entire team, thank you for your time. Good afternoon.